Our next witness, who is numerically witness W0196, will be known as Mr. A.C. So I make the order as follows. The name and address of witness W0196, that's Mr. A.C. to you and me, and any other identifying information, such as the witness's image or a description of their appearance, cannot be disclosed or published in any form unless express permission is given by me or by the secretary to the inquiry, the solicitor to the inquiry, acting on my behalf. Witness 0196 must be referred to only as Mr. A.C. The order remains in force for the duration of the inquiry and at all times thereafter, unless otherwise ordered, and I may vary or revoke this order by making a further order during the course of the inquiry. Mr. A.C., please.
Mr. A.C., your full name is known to the inquiry.
Yes.
Please could you take the book and hold it in your raised hand and repeat after me. I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give.
That the evidence I shall give.
Shall be the truth.
The truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing
and
but
nothing
the truth.
but the truth.
You were diagnosed with severe haemophilia A when you were a baby.
Yes.
And you've described in your statement your memory of being given cryoprecipitate when you were just a few years old in hospital on a drip.
Yeah.
And you were then given cryoprecipitate when you needed treatment until you were about 14 years old.
13, 14.
And you've told us in your statement you'd be taken to hospital by ambulance when you had a
Yes,
bleed.
that's correct.
It would take 2 to 3 hours to get the treatment.
Yes.
And sometimes you might be in hospital for 2 to 3 days.
Yes.
Now, when you were about 14 years old, 13, 14 years old, your treatment changed from cryoprecipitate to factor 8.
Yes.
And that was self-administered by you, given your age.
It was.
And to start with, it was stored at the GP's.
Yes.
But then you went quite quickly onto home treatment.
Yes.
And what can you recall about the home treatment programme?
I just remember being told that this was a new product that was going to make life safer, believe it or not, and better. And to make life better, to that work it did extent, because you knew when you were taking a bleed and it was getting straight into you, as I said, instead of phoning an ambulance, going to hospital, time doctors came in, it made a huge difference. It made the difference between being able to walk that night or not being able to walk at all and keeping you out of hospital. And it gave you more freedom to do stuff as well.
But you weren't told anything, your statement says, about any risks of infection.
Well, we were told there was, what I can remember, I was told there was nothing. There was nothing. The first time I knew about it, probably gone, was what I was told on holiday by a different doctor.
Well, what you've described in your witness statement is, in the early 1980s, perhaps 81, 82,
Yes.
Dr. Ludlam, you were going on holiday with your family
Yes.
to Chichester,
Yeah.
and Dr. Ludlam told you not to take English factor 8.
Yes.
He used the word poison.
Yes, he did.
But when you went to the doctor in England,
Yeah.
what did they say?
Well, what happened is I was been there doing holiday stuff. I took a bleed. We went and seen this guy. And it was coming in the hospital, but it was in Chichester. And the guy sat me and my dad down. My dad explained what we'd been told. And the guy turned around and looked my dad straight in the eye. He goes, Mr. Believe me when I tell you this, that my treatment that I'm going to give your son is safer than the treatment they would get in Edinburgh just now. And we were astounded. My dad was like, and that was the first warning signs, was what we had been given off his doctor. Sadly, I don't know his name because he was just a youngster, but he sat us down and he said, look, and the guy came out, he goes, if you didn't believe me, I'll come out with consent forms saying if there's anything you catch of my treatment, it comes back to me. That's how confident this guy was, but his treatment in Chichester at that time was safer than the ones in Edinburgh.
And did you or your dad repeat that discussion to Dr Ludlam?
Yes.
And what can you tell us about
He
that?
just denied all knowledge, or said it wasn't true, basically, because probably my dad would be dealing it more than me, and what I was up until I was a year old or something like that, because he sort of done everything. But he just told us not to worry, everything was fine with the Scottish stuff.
Now, do you know what particular Factor VIII products you were receiving?
Probably Scottish at the time, I think. What do you mean? Scottish? Yeah, it was Scottish, yeah.
You've described in your statement a meeting that was organised by Dr Ludlam in Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. And I think you've said in your statement it was when you were about 14, but I think you think it's now a bit later.
A bit later, yeah, 15, so 15 going on 16. I'm
perhaps-
not that great with dates, unfortunately.
Don't worry about the dates. But you've described your parents receiving a call and you and your parents went to this meeting.
Yeah, me and my dad went to a meeting, yeah.
And were there other people at the meeting?
Yeah, there was other haemophiliacs at the meeting, yeah.
And what was said at the meeting by Dr Ludlam that you can recall?
As far as I can remember, he said that there was something coming on and there had been HIV or something, or find out, came out in the statement, what came out in this meeting, that the stuff had been infected. Patients had been infected with treatment. But he didn't, obviously at that time, he didn't say who and who wasn't.
You put it this way in your statement: we arrived at the meeting, there were 100-odd people there, they were all haemophiliacs. Yeah. We were told there was a chance we'd contracted HIV from one rogue batch of Factor VIII. They said they didn't know who did and didn't have it.
Yes, that's correct.
And then it was about a week later that you were told that you didn't have
HIV. We got a letter, a phone call to say to come in to speak to him. And the way it went, it wasn't even in the haemophilia centre, it was done in an annex, if you called it, like a makes your schoolroom or something. It was in the car park. And we got in and we didn't even get into his room. And he turned around to say to my dad, I was behind my dad at this time, he said, just go away, your son's got nothing. Your son's not infected.
And the he you're talking about, the doctor, was that Dr Ludlam?
Yes. Yeah. It was.
You've also recalled being told at some later stage that you had something else, another infection, but they didn't know what it
Correct.
was.
Yeah.
And
it was described as non-A, non-B infection. So.
And do you recall when that was, that you were told you had something that was being described to you as non-A, non-B?
Probably in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. Okay. But and then probably late 80s, early 90s, and then found out what, 93, 94, it was hep.
And what you've said in your statement, that when you were first told you had non-A, non-B hepatitis, you were told there was no treatment and you just had to get on with
Correct,
it.
yes.
And then you've said that it was sometime in the 1990s, you think between 1993 and 1996, that Dr Ludlam told you that what the infection you had was hepatitis C.
Hepatitis C, yes.
What can you recall about the circumstances in which he told you that it was hepatitis C?
It was just a normal meeting. He had a habit of just coming out with stuff and dismissing stuff. He always done this, even for a young age, going back, and he didn't like other people's opinions on stuff. It was like his way or no way at all. And he just came out and he said, you've got this, but don't worry about it. If it affects you, it might not affect you for 25, 30 years. And there was no treatment, and didn't worry about it. But don't have kids, which was the main one at that time.
So that was the main advice you remember being given by Dr Ludlam at the time, was not to have children.
Yes.
And you've said in your statement that there was little other information provided about the condition.
None at all.
Did you know that you were being tested either for HIV or HTLV3, as it was then called?
We used to take blood and just tell you it was for storage.
That it was for storage?
It's for storage, what I can remember, for storage. Or for research, but definitely not for HIV or Hep C. Definitely not that.
You've said in your statement about being told that you had hepatitis C, you said that you didn't leave the house for 3 to 4 weeks, you only left your room for dinner, and that you started to feel depressed and have mood swings.
Obviously you get stuff like that, and then once it hits the mainstream, the media, obviously, and stuff like that before, even when the HIV thing came when I was at school and that, everybody just deserted me. We all walked away and thought, oh, we'll keep away from that guy. We know one of his families died yet, and you were just put in the same thing as everybody else, and people were like, used to cross the road, teachers didn't really want to deal with you and stuff like that, so it was horrific. When we've been 14, 15 and having to deal with it all as well, right? And then once the Hep C thing came about, obviously I had to go back and tell an ex-partner, but she got tested and she, as far as I know, and there was nothing picked up, which was, well, it would have been my ex-wife at the time. Yeah.
And you've described in your statement that from about 1990, you'd experienced tiredness, lack of energy.
No, I was working and then, 5, 6 months into the job, I just felt suddenly I was like, if I'm going full-time, I sort of had to go part-time. I just felt more tired. I could go to my bed, say, 9 o'clock at night. I might not wake up to 4 o'clock the following afternoon. I thought, well, what's causing this? I mean, it was just, and when you asked about it, you were just told, oh, it's nothing, it's just, you've got haemophilia and it just makes you tired and stuff like that as well. Well, there's no mention of the viruses at all.
And you've also described in your statement that you had poor concentration, you had trouble sleeping, even though you were so tired.
Yeah, I still have to this day.
And you were getting panic attacks and anxiety.
Yes, definitely. And very angry, really, really angry.
I'm going to ask you in a few minutes about the treatments you received for hepatitis C, but just in terms of the physical consequences for you, you've developed a number of bladder complications.
Yeah. What happened, maybe 2003 or something, I went to hospital with severe stomach pains, and I was actually told I had cancer by one guy, and after being told that, I thought, well, what's going on? And then they came back and said, oh, you've got bladder complications, because when they put the catheter in, the bag that they put in just filled up straight away. There was something like 2 to 3 litres of urine held back, and it's just been an ongoing problem. And it's got to be staged now, it's that bad, but the only time I can pass urine, I can pass to spin a catheter by 3 or 4 times a day. And obviously I'm quite happy with doing that, because if I have to stop doing that, I have to now go and take my bladder out, because I've got that bad. And I was told by one of the doctors that she reckoned it was a Hep C treatment that's caused this problem.
That was what I was going to ask you. You've set out in your statement, you understand there to be a link between hepatitis C or the treatment for it and your bladder problems.
Definitely.
You've also been experiencing pain in the right side of your liver, and you've had fibroscans.
Yes.
And you've been told, your statement says that there are some abnormalities.
There were some abnormalities. I was last week I had another scan and they didn't want properly, but when the fibroscan came up normal, the blood test came up normal, but when they repeated the blood test came back normal, and I'll get another one next week to see if that's normal and I'll get other results. But they kept saying to me, always said, don't worry about your blood test being abnormal, because you've probably got an infection at the same time. That's what's made it abnormal. That was just still the information I'm getting for the people that are treating me in Edinburgh.
Now, I want to ask you next about the treatments that you've undergone for hepatitis C. You had your first course of treatment with interferon.
Yes.
At some point in the 1990s.
Yeah, early to mid-90s, yeah.
And the way you've put it in your statement is that treatment made you go off your head.
Totally. No, not so much the first batch, but the second batch about 99 was like horrific. It was like you're in your body, but it wasn't you, it was in your body. It was absolutely horrendous. It just like, I flipped, basically, for 24, 36 hours.
And you've described having thoughts of suicide in the course of one of the treatments that you received.
Yeah, the second lot of treatment, definitely.
You wanted to end it all, and you became very angry.
What happened? I felt 2 days before it finally kicked in, I had a routine appointment, and I said to him, because I didn't feel well because we were told that there was going to be backup, right? And from the Hep C people, we were handing out with treatment and that to you. And this turned out to be untrue, because it had been the first day. Friday, I didn't really feel that well. And I went back and I was told, oh, you've just got a cold or stuff with treatment. And between the Friday afternoon and the Saturday morning, I flipped. If it hadn't been for my dad, I'd be dead now, because I was sitting out the window on the roof, swimming my legs, and just ready to go for gold. Because it was just horrific. I couldn't sit down. I was wandering about the house. I was smashing things up. Basically, smashed the house up. Basically, it wasn't far off it. There was nothing really left in it. That was it. And then GP was called in 2 or 3 times in the night. I was given diazepam, which worked only for a couple of hours, and then he came back in the morning and goes, would you be willing to go to the Royal Ed on your own accord? And we just looked at me and my dad looked at each other and we have to do this. And when I went up there, I was wandering about and stuff, and the guy sat us down and he goes, look, your son's not actually got his like mental health, is what we call it. It's having a side effect. But before that, the number we had been given, we were told it was 24/7. So even on the Friday evening, 5 o'clock, we phoned up, we couldn't get a hold of anybody. Got a hold of the chemo doctor on the Saturday morning, and he just went, I don't know what to do here. The guy didn't know what to do, and he tried to contact him. The message he got back is overshut till Monday. Because if I had knew that, I probably would have went on treatment. We were told there would be support 24/7, and anybody you need to speak to, because there wasn't any counselling or nothing at that time, and it was just horrific.
And the purpose that you've been told of the support, it was specifically to help you through the treatment.
Yes.
And you've been given what you were told was a telephone number for a 24-hour helpline.
Yes, definitely.
But when you tried it, you couldn't get through.
It wasn't just a help. It was meant to have been a nurse. It was dealing with the side effects of patients that were on it. But what it turned out to be, she was only there 4 hours a day, Monday to Friday. Whereas we were told, even it was just not there the sheet, because even on the sheet it had like the hours that were going to be there, who to phone, and it turned out we were only like between 10 and 2 Monday to Friday. So there was no, we probably wouldn't be the only one, but there was no help after that for anybody. We must have known by now how interfering could affect people and how bad it could be.
And it was your dad who talked you down from throwing yourself off the roof?
Obviously, we stayed in different houses. He got a phone call and he came down with my mum, and they like, wondered what was going on there. And we gave my dad his due. He did save my life. And if it hadn't been for my dad, I would have been gone. Because I had a big bedroom window and it goes down onto like a shed thing. I was between that and the shed. And I was ready, and he goes, what are you doing? I think his exact words, what he came in with was, I was ready to just stand up and take a run and go for goal. And if he hadn't said, look, come in, we'll try and deal with this and stuff like that, because at that time he's probably the only person I would listen to, because obviously he had no confidence in medics after what's happened to you over the years. He didn't believe a word they said to you at all. So
you had 2 courses of treatment. The precise dates don't matter to start with. I know you've had a third since.
Yeah.
The first was interferon. The second was interferon and ribavirin.
Yeah, that's the one at St Millie.
And you've described in your statement how the treatment has changed your personality, made you angrier.
Made me really angry.
Made you less trusting, taken your confidence away.
Gone.
And you say it's really been a total nightmare.
She's still having side effects with blood and that. Luckily, there's no counselling in place for us. And I've seen a counsellor to deal with the mental stress. And anybody that tells you I can just snap like that, whereas before, wouldn't be my most easygoing person. I live with haemophilia and points, but I could deal with it. And now you end up cutting yourself off with everybody. Even though a lot of people cut themselves off with me because of what the HIV thing had been going round in the 80s, and that was different. But this time, I was like, just didn't want to do nothing. It was most people would go and want to meet partners, and I was like, whoa. And it was like that because for that as well, because I thought, right, if this doesn't work, I didn't want to be accused of passing this on to somebody. And that. Even even if the way people work, we can be a bit strange. Even if somebody had got it before we had met me, were probably liable to come after me. And I did take a back step, because I really didn't, I didn't want to explain to people as well, even though I had a partner at that time as well. But we told everybody about it anyway, unfortunately.
You then had a third course of treatment.
Yes.
A number of years later.
Yes.
Do you recall when the third course of treatment was? Your statement says 2006.
It'd be something like that, yeah, definitely.
You were told that there was a new drug. You didn't want to take it to start with because you were worried about the side effects.
I was told I had the choice, but I had also time to wait because my liver results were fine. But eventually, I sat down and I spoke to people and I thought, right, if it's going to do any good, let's get it done before it all kicks in and then you leave us too late.
And you've described that course of treatment as much more straightforward.
Yes.
You sailed through, in your words, in your statement.
Yeah, totally different, no side effects, nothing. But what made it even worse with the second set of treatment, before it all kicked in, it had cleared the virus. The second set had worked, but obviously I had to get pulled off it and I could never go back on it.
But that third course of treatment did clear the virus. But you've been left not only with the physical problems you've described in relation to your bladder, but also with the psychological problems that you've described.
I still have flashbacks. I can wake up screaming and stuff like that, still thinking, what, like, the night it actually all happened and stuff like that. And then obviously 3 or 4 years later I was diagnosed with a bladder condition. And the people, it was quick, because even Prof. Wadlam, if that's what we call him, and I kept saying, oh, no, nothing. But there was one doctor did approach me in the Western, and she said, I can't put this on your records, unfortunately, but I believe that you've got this. And in recent years, there's been research done, and there was actually a professor came and spoke to us at one of our meetings, and he had done a study and put the final dot state for me. But as far as I was known, I was told, right, within 6-7 months of having it, that she reckoned this was what it caused it, because she had done studies in London and other cases had been turning up down south. But she was probably told not to put it in my notes.
Just ask you about the effect that your infection and the treatment you've received for it had on your private and social life. You've told us already about the way it made you feel in terms of your attitude towards relationships, and you decided not to have children.
Well, we could go back to the first bit where Prof said not to have kids, right? And then a year or 2 years later we were saying it was safe to have kids. So what do? Do you say, right, it's safe, go and like, get a partner or something like that, and then him to see maybe 6 months later, oh, your kids could be infected because it's not safe. So you didn't know what to do, basically. Because it was just misinformation that was getting fired at you constantly.
In terms of work, you've described in your statement how your haemophilia had made it difficult for you in making job applications. You found it difficult to get work.
Nobody wanted to know us. Right? The way I would describe people at my age and for ages 10 years to above, we were really like the forgotten generation. Nobody wanted to know us. We were treated differently at centres. We started splitting us up. And employers, as soon as you put haemophilia on something, especially young employers were looking and go, shh, shh, and end the story. Even though I was told 2 or 3 times I was the one that was qualified for most of the job, and you could do the job with your eyes shut, basically, and stuff like that. But we just weren't going to take a chance. And then the job that I did get, I ended up losing it because of the haemophilia system.
You've said in your statement that there was work that you undertook for Toys R Us, but your fatigue made it hard for you to continue.
Yeah, but
and at the time you didn't know that that was
no, I didn't know
consequence of
what that was.
hepatitis C.
No.
Although your diagnosis is of hepatitis C,
yes,
and you had been told following that meeting you've told us about in the 1980s that you didn't have HIV,
yes,
you've talked in your statement about the effect that the stigma associated with HIV and haemophilia has had on your life.
You can imagine being 14, 15, living in an enclosed village sort of thing, right, where there was other members of family and that were haemophilics, unfortunately. most of them have passed away now, and then you know what it's like, people pick up on things and that. And I was just, people used to point in the street and goes, oh, keep away from him, he's the infected one, because it's one. The prime example, I remember being out with my wife to be in a social club, and we were sitting, and she knew about haemophilia, but her parents didn't, and we were sitting, and she goes, come back to my habit. So and the dad came in like, wow, shouting and swearing and everything like that, because somebody has pulled them up in the social club and said, keep him away from your daughter who's got HIV.
And you've said you lived in a small community because you had haemophilia. People assumed you were infected with HIV too.
2 and 2 together made 6.
It was a "they've all got it" attitude.
Yeah, it was. And it probably still is.
And at school, when news broke about HIV amongst haemophiliacs, friends disappeared, and when you were out, they wouldn't want to share glasses with you. You'd be given different glasses and buckets to put them in.
I had one really good mate, and it stuck by, but everybody else disappeared. And even when you went other places and that, obviously we started telling other people, and people you didn't even know were like, keep away from him. And even to the extent people would come up to me, what went on to be my wife, would say, what are you doing with him? He's got this and got that and everything else. But my attitude was, well, Harry, ask anything. And if you want to go and see my medical notes, you're welcome to see them. I've got nothing to hide. But obviously I didn't know about the second virus.
And you say in your statement, I was fighting off the stigma of HIV and I didn't even have it.
Yes.
You did have an uncle, and without mentioning any names, you had an uncle who was a haemophiliac who died from AIDS.
Yes.
Again, through the route of infected blood.
Yeah, the same way.
And you've described in your statement it was a terrible death.
It was. Sitting watching him going from what he used to be to what he'd been in hospices and at home and that, it was like, nobody should have to go through it. But what made it even worse is, to my extent, I'm not saying this, but there was people used to come and visit him. It would never even come and visit him before, just to see him. And I'm like, it was like a bit of a freak show, unfortunately. And that's why I've always said to partners and everything like that, if I ever got that no well and I knew I was on the way out, just to give me tablets, I could do it myself, because I didn't want to go through the freak show stuff.
You've been having counselling for the last 18 months or so.
Yes.
And you've described that in your statement as being very helpful.
Definitely.
But that's the first time that you've had counselling?
Well, wouldn't even call it a counsellor, I'd call it a busybody back in the 80s and 90s. And you realised after a couple of sessions that what you were telling her was going back to your consultants, which is meant to be a private. Now, the person that we've got now is a totally different class. She understands people, and I've seen one and then I got moved on to the other one, because the first one wanted to go down the antidepressant route, and I thought, no, I'm not doing that. Didn't want to do that, not just because of that, but if it could have damaged my liver and stuff like that and bring different stuff on. But I've never been one for being a pole popper anyway, unless I had to take painkillers. And then I managed to get moved on to the other one, and she's just been a totally different class. Can speak about anything to her, and probably the first person I had confidence in about 20 years in the medical profession, if no more. You could tell anything, and it did stay private. Whereas before, you knew, if you said something to the other one, it'd be in your notes for your next appointment. Oh, why did you say this to so-and-so? And you're like, well, this was meant to be private. So obviously I just cut ties with the first one, but she wasn't that good anyway. And it was actually done well away from the hospital, the first one as well. And it was like, you had all these junkies and that sitting about you, taking drugs in front of you while you were like counselling. And my attitude was like, I don't hear, you're self-inflicting. And it really didn't make me angry. You're self-inflicting, right? Yeah, so-and-so, X-Y. And I thought, I'm here for something that shouldn't have happened. Because this for everybody in Scotland, it should have been and could have been avoided. It's horrific. It's on, if it was any other generation with a different disease, it'd be looked at different. What that guy's done to the haemophilia community has been mass murder. In my honest opinion, it's mass murder.
You say in your statement that you've been told that your hospital records from the 1970s, 1980s have been shredded?
Yes.
GP records exist, but not your hospital records.
What you might find out as well, we reckon that Paul Floodland has got records in his house, which hopefully come out when you get to question these people. For one, it was fabulous, you had 2 sets of records, one for your medical notes and one that he kept for his research or whatever he'd done and stuff like that as well. I'm adamant he's got 2 sets of records.
Those are the questions I have for you. But is there anything further you would like to add about any of the issues your evidence has touched on, or the effect of hepatitis C and treatment on your life?
It's not just touched. As I said before, guys my age and years younger, nobody wanted to know us. We're a forgotten generation. Hospital appointments, what we started to do was you could meet people and then all of a sudden it was split. There'd be nobody about on the day you were going for appointment. They made sure of us and other things and that went on as well. And we're just basically guinea pigs. The whole haemophilia community were basically guinea pigs, and to an extent we probably all are, and that as well. And obviously, sadly for Mrs. White, this should be as well for the people that didn't make it this far. Kevin, there has to be a big part there. Apart from we're the lucky ones that have survived it, if you can call us lucky, but for different stuff. And we didn't know, because even now I'm finding out that even the liver experts didn't know how it's going to affect people, because basically I didn't think personally we were told there's 25 years and then it might kick in. So basically that tells me we all thought we would have been gone after 25 years. And it's just unfortunate. I do class myself as one of the forgotten generation.
I'm just going to ask Mr. O'Neill if there's anything further he would like me to ask you.
Your name, Phil? I'm fine. Once it kicked in, it just kicked in. It's all because he was well dealt for me. I had to get with London and Benson. I had to be part of hours. There's 2 or 3 days I forgot about, but there's nothing else I could do.
Just a couple of points
Yes.
that Mr. O'Neill would like me to explore with you. The first is your recollection of your interactions with Dr. Ludlam when you had a knee operation in Edinburgh.
This goes back to the point I made that it was either his way or the other. It was between 14 and 15 as well. And I had a synovectomy needed done on my right knee. And my dad and me were told, we were very wareful, and I thought it was better. It really needed to be done, but we were told, I was like, I'm not going in. Even if I didn't trust you, and stuff. And they told, no, you've only been in for 5-6 weeks. So the way it was going to be treated was, he was obviously going to be the haemophilia consultant, but I was going to be treated at Princess Margaret Rose Hospital by a Malcolm McNichol, who was a surgeon. And he was going to be in charge of a physio and stuff like that. And you could have confidence in this surgeon guy because his reputation went before him. And he would always speak to you. And what happened was I got the operation, and 12 hours after the operation, it could have been the middle of the night, I was moved back to Ward 23, which was never meant to happen. So what he's done is he sneaked me back there for whatever his plans were for me there. Instead of, well, the guy that done the operation was at home. So he came back, and you could hear the arguments between my dad, Professor McNichol, and Prof about my treatment. My dad wasn't happy, and Mr. McNichol was going absolutely mental.
So, and your understanding is that it was at Dr. Ludlam's insistence that you were transferred back to the care of the haemophilia centre.
Because it wasn't a treatment plan, it was agreed before we went in. Because me and my dad were sceptical if this could happen, but Mr. McNichol had reassured us, and he's got no fault in this at all, because the guy, after I got moved back, the guy would come in at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, even after he'd been out for dinners and that, come in, just to make sure you were okay. And he would like, I'm sorry about this and stuff like that. And that, what that proceeded to be, instead of being in for 6 weeks, I went in October and I was discharged the following May.
And then the second point that Mr O'Neill has asked me to raise with you is, again, an interaction you had with, it may have been, I think, Dr Ludlam, when you were asked to sign a waiver when there was a discussion about a transfer of products.
Well, what happened was I was being treated, it was during the second treatment, I was being treated and I got a phone call, can you come up to the centre and appeal? When he goes, oh, we're running out of the factor you're on, would you like to go back? And we called it tartan factor 8, and to me this was the stuff that gave the infection. And he was like, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, have you really been serious? And he pulled it, goes, but if you can take it, but I want you to sign this saying you can't come back, because it was whole blood basically. He was like, he goes, well, if you pick up anything, you can't come back. And I just looked and I threw a chair at him. I left and I went, I was like, no, this isn't happening. I goes, I've had enough of your crap, to a word, and I thought, I'm not having this. So I went away, back straight away, the sitting room, and you could keep on going on. And there was a young nurse had the long stint. Well, when she was there for her second stint, she had been there, and I knew her for her first sort of stint. And she pulled, and she goes, what's going on in that? And she came back, and I went and goes, I've sorted it. That you can't get home treatment, but I will treat you myself personally during centre hours, and I will make sure that there's treatment for you in the ward. So you could imagine, you've been told you've got hep and you've been treated for it, right? And it's worked for it. And then this guy wants you to put you back on the stuff that was caused it. How does that work? It's like he's trying to murder you all over again. He didn't do a good enough job the first time, but I'm sure we'll catch him the second time.
And that was in around the 1990s.
Yeah, that'd be about 90,
and it was when there was you were told there was a shortage of the new Factor 8 product, and that's why they wanted you to go back onto using early.
What I was told is they were keeping the stuff I was on for the kids.
Right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to say thank you to Sir Brian and everybody that's working on this. This has been a long time coming, not just for us, but for people that have sadly no longer. This is for them as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, you've thanked us. Can I thank you? You've raised quite a number of interesting points in what you've said. It's very valuable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we'll take a break now, shall we, till just after 1:30.
Thank you, sir.
1:30.